Hello everyone, today I will be doing something different. I'm going to be doing a cinematography / lighting breakdown of a recent short film I DP'd for. It's called Amid, and it's a student film from one of my friends in college that they hired me to be a DP for. I was honestly so excited for this because I haven't been in a proper student film in a while. This took like 3 days to shoot. I was present for 2. Yeah, being able to witness these people and their love for the craft grow even more as they get older. It's a blessing to be able to witness that because I remember being there once in my life. This shoot was very tiring. I'm sure it was more tiring for the people handling the logistics and the other parts of the shoot. I was just there to create beautiful images, and I think I did a pretty good job. These shots, these frames are some of the most beautiful images I think I've made in a while as a DP. So let's get to it. So this is the first shot of this video. This is a match cut from here and there, and there's a bunch of shots with this of her doing certain things. But I just chose these two because one's at day and one's at night, and I didn't change much from each. Before I start, I just wanna preface the whole mindset of me making this video. It's because I've been scrolling a lot on social media, and I see a lot of film content on my For You page, and what I see people keep preaching, especially film content creators, is just to shoot shadow side, and that's what I'm doing here. But what I think is being misinterpreted by the people is just putting one light on the opposite side of the camera and calling it done. And what ends up happening is having the shadow side too little contrast. Sometimes it doesn't fit the scene right, how dramatic it looks, and there's no intent basically. It's just let's put a light there and call it quits. I'll explain to you my whole mind, how my mind worked making this shot and making these shots, all of them, and see where that takes us. Okay, so my whole process with lighting a scene is first I set the tripod down into the frame that I like, and this before I used to light a scene even before I know where the frame is, because I don't know, that's just what amateurs do. So I put a tripod down, locking the frame to see if there are any objects or spaces that I can motivate the light from. For example, here I saw a window, right? Wow, that is thick. Okay, so here I saw a window, and that's where we can motivate the light from, because our human minds are thinking, oh, there's a window there, so surely there's light there, right? So there's sunlight that will peek from there. So I placed a light just right outside the window. I think kind of like that, and it had a reflector bowl. Excuse me for the stupid drawing, I'm just using my mouse. And it's shining over there. The temperature is at, if I remember correctly, 5600. I don't remember what intensity it was, but it was pretty high to simulate sunlight. And that was my main key light. This created a lot of things that I liked, which is here, the texture on the window, on the wall, making the white wall less flat looking, and nice key light for the 3 of them. I like those. But my main problem was this part, these parts, the shadow side was too dark, even with the white walls bouncing. So what I did was, just right outside of frame here, I put a light over here, just bouncing off of the ceiling, 60 B, 5600 Kelvin. That the main purpose of that is to bounce light over to the ceiling and back down to their faces. And what this does is it fills the shadow side so that it's not too dark. And that's a big tip I learned recently when trying to create sunlight. The main mistake I see beginners make is just using one light and being done with it. But what I noticed is adding a lot of bounce light to fill the space really helps sell the effect, because that's what happens when sunlight enters a room. It just bounces out of everywhere and creates this beautiful soft light all around where the sun is not hitting directly. So, and then there is another cabinet over here that, okay, there's another cabinet over here that I also put a light on, just bouncing off of the ceiling to, bam, hit their faces softly. And that creates this scene. Okay, let's erase all of that. Okay, for this scene, I had the same lighting setup, but the light here, was set to a lower intensity, and my camera was set to 3200 Kelvin. This made the shot look a lot bluer. And then I removed the light over here. Moved the light there, but I kept the light here that's bouncing off the ceiling to her face. We know that moonlight isn't this bright, right? But in film, if we don't put a light here, it'll just be pure black, and the frame will not be very interesting to look at. So this could sell the effect that it's nighttime by having it a bit bluer and having some light shine off of the window as moonlight. And then I added a lamp over here. I mean, my set designers added a lamp over there, and I decided to turn it on and have it a warmer color so that it contrasts with the blue moonlight, and further selling the idea that we're shooting at nighttime, which we are. And this was also nighttime, but we just changed the temperature of the camera and the lights. Anyway, yeah, so basically that's the whole idea. I removed the light here because I don't want it to be too bright, so I settled with these two lights over here, and that sells the effect. These are the shots. Hey everyone, I just want to let you know that this video is sponsored by me. QUICKFILM is sponsoring this YouTube channel right now. I'm grateful for the amount of support it's received, and you can check the link in my description to avail the paragrade and LUT. It will really help with this channel, and I'm sure it will help you out with your color grading, because it's just one click. You can get cinematic images. These shots are all color graded with QUICKFILM. So yeah, back to the video. Okay, for shot number 2 or shot number 3, we have a scene here that our characters enter the house, and so the first blocking is over here, and the mom moves, and they move to the sofa area. So it wasn't a very complicated scene, but there was definitely some movement. So first of all, I knew the characters were gonna come from this side of the house. So what I did was, first off, I set the frame, right? I added a 150B here that's set to 5600 Kelvin, shining towards this direction. And if we remove this, we can see that it's hitting the wall here, their faces here, their faces here, here, It's hitting the wall over here. And then we move over here. Hold on, let me find a good frame. So our main key light was through here, shining through, right? Then I noticed the light here was only hitting him and only backlighting her. So her face is a bit too dark, her face is too dark. So I added another light here, just right off of the frame, counteracting that. So we're left with this and a little bit of light here. We also got a little bit of texture here in the wall, which I loved very much. And this effect is believable because we see another window here, another example of using your surroundings to motivate your lights. And then after setting those up, I noticed that the shadows were too dark. For example, her face over here, was too dark. Her shadow side was too dark. Everything here was too dark. So what I did was just right out of frame here, right? For example, here. Just right out of frame here, right? I added a light bouncing off of the ceiling to lift up those shadows a bit, and we're left with a lot of detail here in the shot. So to summarize all of it, we're exposing for the background for outside the window so that it's not pure white. We're left with some detail of the trees, the sky, and then we see our windows here as motivations to place our lights at. So for example, we're starting off with one light. So this is how this is what I learned recently. Just start by building your lights. Don't add lights. Don't add multiple lights immediately. Start by one and then add as many as you need. For example, here I first added this key light just at camera left here, pointing towards camera right to as our main key light for the child and backlight for the leading lady over here. And then I noticed that they needed more light. She needed more light, so I added a light over here to compensate for that, and it's still believable because it's motivated by a window. And then I noticed the shadows were too dark, so I added a bounce light over here. And we're bouncing it off of the ceiling so that it spreads evenly and it makes a big source and it makes the light soft. So it's more flattering to see and more natural to see. So you can see, this is the sequence. I am pretty happy with this shot. Like, I really love this shot so much. It looks so natural. And then we did a continuation of that scene, the scene after that, where we move into this part of the scene, of the frame, and it's a medium and a close-up all at the same time. So what I did here is I just kind of kept some of the lights here, just moved it around. For example, the previous light that was over here, I moved here, bam, so it could point towards her face in this shot. And then the light here, I turned off because it was creating some ugly looking shadows on her face. There was a shadow like that on her face because of the light hitting the kid's face. And then there was previously a bounce light over here that was hitting the ceiling, and I removed that and moved it just right behind me, behind the camera. and that was also bouncing off of the ceiling to lift up the shadows quite a bit. So basically it was two lights. Light just right outside the window over here. How can I draw this? Yeah, so like that. A light over here that's hitting him, hitting her, and creating beautiful looking textures in the light, in the wall I mean, and also hitting her face and her face all at the same time. And we can see that there is a window here that is motivating that light, also a window here that is motivating these lights, which means it's believable. And then I also just added another light just right behind me, pointing up at the ceiling, bouncing it off the ceiling to create a beautiful bounce light to lift up the shadows. So this is the shot. Let's just erase these scribbles and let's watch the scene. Move on to our next shot. This is just a simple shot of her walking towards somewhere and getting a notification on her phone. My setup here was just a tube light and a reflector. My whole philosophy with lighting is finding places, objects in your frame that you can motivate your light from. So I saw a bright light over here that casted a nice rim light on the edge of her. So what I told my my gaffers is, let's get a Pavo tube, point it towards a reflector, and just bounce it off a frame so that it becomes softer, going back at her. And that is what's creating this soft wrap around her face. If we didn't have the Pavo there, this whole shadow side of her face will just be extremely dark. So I hope you're getting the philosophy now. It's really simple and it's really effective. All you need is to find an object, a light to motivate your light from, and you get the money. You get good frames. You get, people call you a pro even if you're not. And then we have the last two shots here, which is a dialogue scene. Again, my setup here was just a single Pavo tube. I saw some lights here. So I see that these lights are giving a nice rim around her figure here. But it was not enough for to light her whole face, because the lights only went up to here, which was just right above her. So what I did was, just right outside the frame, I'm gonna show a BTS right now. Just right outside the frame, I have a Pavo tube over here and a reflector over here. The Pavo is hitting the reflector and it's bouncing onto her face to create this soft lighting on like 1/4, 3/4 side of her face, which is enough. It's already enough. You don't need much. For this scene, I used 2 lights. For this angle, I mean. So my philosophy remains the same. Since our previous shot, we saw a bunch of motivated lights from the lights hanging around behind her. So my whole approach here is to mimic that. So I had a Pavo, again, reflector, bouncing it off of there, creating this nice, soft key light on him. Also giving her a nice edge light. But what I noticed is the background here is too dark. There was nothing, there was no light there. So if we cut into this scene, it'll just look like we're shooting him in pure darkness. So what I did is get a 60 watt light, 60 COB light. Forgot what I had my temperature on, but it was a fairly cold Kelvin. I just shot it up onto the leaves here, trying to mimic moonlight so that our background is not too flat and we gain a little bit of depth in the shot. So yeah, it's simple. In summary, remember these few things. Shoot shadow side, yes, but also supplement it with other lights to make it more believable. Find a object, a place, a light to motivate your artificial lighting from, and then work from there. Start with a frame, put your camera on the tripod, place one light, you think, oh, this is great, but it lacks this. Add another light to support that. Okay, it lacks this, add another light. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something. You can get QUICKFILM in the link in my description. Thank you very much for watching. Peace out.